Hello, this is Ep14. Welcome back to Ars Nouveau. Today, we are not in a normal place. Between episodes, I'll be honest, I got a little bored and wanted to get some stuff done off camera, and basically I got carried away. We have an expansion to our expansion. So, last few episodes, we expanded this lovely blue area. I did build a pond, and it has a tree. My original plan was I was going to have this be kind of an industrial and agriculture district. Then I decided I wanted a pond because I wanted to have a river to have some water wheels turning. And then I got carried away and I built more of a pond. Anyway, so I needed to expand more for an industrial area because I figured a nice little resort area like this doesn't really seem industrial. So I shouldn't have like a tree farm and a cobble gen right next to it. It just didn't seem to thematically fit. So I expanded over here. I still need to turn it into Archwood Forest as well, but I think I will do that kind of later, just because it's a really, really tedious process. Anyway, while I was doing that, if we go into GDCam here, so we can kind of move around a little bit easier, I saw this mountain and saw kind of some flattish areas and thought, it'd be kind of cool. Let's have some background buildings. I don't really have a real plan for up here, just kind of wanted structures to be in the background of our base. I haven't decided if I want to have any actual functionality there or not, but anyway, I did that. So I think what we're going to do today is, while I was building, one of the main things that was bugging me was I don't have a whole lot of spruce wood. I'm using it for like building that. I want to have more of the structures over here use it, and I don't have a tree farm yet. So today we're going to build a tree farm somewhere over here. I haven't decided where yet. So yes, that is a plan today. Tree farm with Ars. I should also note that between episodes, another thing I did was I set up a simple chunk loader at my base there that basically it only runs when I am actually online, so that when I'm not online, everything just stops. It kind of serves two purposes. One is just for building. The main thing is being able to access my storage here so that I can grab dirt, because I've gone through, I think, 6,000 or 7,000 dirt doing this. It's been a big project doing this expansion area, but additionally I really wanted to kind of break free from the kind of handicap for wanting to just always have bases loaded. I don't really actually like to have my base loaded. So as it only runs when I'm offline, or when I'm online rather, it basically means that I can't set up any of my automation to assume that my base is loaded, if that makes sense. What that means is I'm not going to have anything over here be monitoring my main storage or sending things back to my main storage. This whole area over here is just going to be local storage only. Actually, I'm just going to do this straight back and build a retaining wall. I want it to be just local storage. So I'll be over here and I'll have just like a big chest or a double chest or something of whatever it is that I'm building. I'm not going to send it back to my base automatically. Generally, I do prefer to have things sent to my base automatically, but because we are so far away, it's really just asking for trouble, even if I have everything loaded. Basically, if I have something turned off until it sees that I have stuff, basically if that doesn't get loaded for whatever reason, either chunks loaded in the wrong order or something, it's just begging for something to go wrong and start overflowing things. So we're gonna not be relying on that, and we're just gonna pretend that it is not loaded, with the exception of being, I can just right click and access my storage here. I think that's kind of the best way to do this. It's a little bit more safe for servers maintenance. Also, why am I placing blocks manually? I have effortless building. It's so much easier. You'd almost say it's effortless. As I mentioned between episodes, I built these little retaining walls, and I want to have some sort of buildings on top of them, basically just like kind of a residential area almost, if you will. So you got kind of the residential, the houses are up here overlooking the rest of the city below. And I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure if I want to go with this retaining wall design. I do like it, but I don't know if it fits the rest of the base. So I may end up changing that out for more of the red and the kind of zigzag pattern there. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I might go either way on that. I haven't decided. So what I'm going to do down here is I'm going to go with the more of that style. Again, I may swap this out for the stone brick as well, but for right now, I'm just going to go with this. Goes there. There we go. And I want to say there was 3 blocks of space and then another line down below. Right there. So retaining wall here. This is basically just going to be so that it's a somewhat flat area here for the stairs to come down to, so it doesn't go all the way down there, just to walk back up to kind of the rest of the work areas down here. So it's really just going to be a landing. I haven't really decided if I want to have any decorations here. No, I do want decorations. I don't know what I want to do for decorations, I should say. That's actually not going to be related to the project that we're doing today, other than just wanting to have some structure in place. So where should we put our tree farm? I mentioned over there it looked very tropical when I put the water in with the clear water, and then when I put the like white sand beach there as well. It's too resort-like over there, if that makes sense, like a hot springs almost flowing down from the industrial waste over there. So we don't want to have something like a tree farm be that close to our resort area. I do have some plans for buildings over there, but not today. And I'm thinking this big flat area would be good for general farming, like crops and such, because currently I don't have any of those. And so like wheat and stuff like that would be very useful to have. So I think what we're going to do is, if we look for a somewhat flat area, I don't actually need that much room for this thing, because the tree farms can actually be pretty small. In fact, I can probably fit it within a 5x5 if I really tried. But I think what we're going to do is, I guess for overall plans, I do want to have some sort of dock and loading area, maybe a create crane or something down there. I think if I put the tree farm, I almost think right here would be a decent spot to put it. There's not really a spot that's calling out to me, so I think what we're going to do is, instead of that, we're going to get distracted once again. I have this path farm, or this path block going through here. I think what I'm going to do is, I should have an unbreaking shovel. That was my unbreaking efficiency shovel. I want my unbreaking. Perfect. We're going to use that, and instead of going to build a farm right now, I'm going to first make some paths to kind of give a little bit of structure here, and see if that will kind of inspire me more for where I can put a farm. Well, we have some good news and some bad news. The good news is I got a lot done. The bad news is I got carried away again. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up this little area over here. I decided to raise this wall up 2 blocks, and we will get to why in a moment here. I wanted to flatten off a little bit over here, and at the same time I wanted to lower some other areas. Apparently we're out of dirt. Yeah, like I've said earlier, we went through probably 8,000 dirt in this process. Terraforming does that. That's a thing. But let's take a look at what we've gotten done. Block, please. Where'd you go? Block. There we go. Right there. Okay. So over here, remember how I said I wanted to do some shaping? I did some shaping. So I knocked this area back here, lowered it down to give us a nice little, just a small little kind of pedestrian bridge. This will give us a little bit more space. In fact, let's land and go to Cheaty Cam here. And so we can kind of look at what we got going on. We have a large area over here, flat for crops probably. We've got pathway. This will connect over to the stairs up to the residential area. And over here, I think the tree farm is going to go probably this spot here, roughly. And then I also did a little bit of shaping down here at the docks. I decided to, I filled in, there's kind of like a cave type thing cutting through here. I decided to fill that in, And instead, I'm going to have 2 layers to our docks. We'll have the upper docks here, and then the lower area down below. And I'm thinking I'll do like a crane or something from Create, just to have a little bit of motion going on. But the thought is, if we pretend like we are a real human instead of, bodiless ghost here, as you're walking along the top here, you'll be able to look down, see the dock, and I think that'll be kind of a cool idea. And then up here, I might have this lower down, or I might do stairs. I haven't decided yet. For now, I have some dirt stairs that goes to the upper docks. And then we'll have the stairs going down to the actual lower docks there. And I think for this, I don't want this to be solid and filled in. I want it to be that there's a hill here with more of like a wood structure with like support beams and stuff holding this up. I think that's the plan for this area. But we're not actually working on this area today. Like I said, I want to have a tree farm because I want to use a lot of spruce in this. It's a good block, I think, for what we're wanting. So we're going to go ahead and get started on actually building up a tree farm. In this pack, we have a lot of different options. We have Create. I used that last time to build that elevator. Create would work for a tree farm. We have Ars Nouveau. Ars Nouveau is going to work for a tree farm. That's what we're going to be using. Other options that we have is we have blood magic. There is a ritual that will work as a tree farm there. There's, of course, many different ways to build a tree farm with Ars, I should mention. Let's see, what else do we have here? There's a lot of options. Honestly, I could use vanilla for this with the exception of being able to place blocks. So there's a lot of different ways you can build a tree farm, but I wanted to show a very simple way using Ars Nouveau. Now, there's a couple different things about this farm that I want to kind of mention. One is the way I'm designing this, it's going to work for just about any tree except for dark oak. It'll need some tweaks for that because you need to place 4 blocks for that. I'm kind of just pointing with the mouse here instead of using the wheel. It'll need 4 saplings for that. We could do large spruce. I'm going to just regular spruce trees for this though. And then it won't work for mangrove either. Mangrove grows differently where you place the 1 sapling here, and then when it grows up, there isn't actually a block down here to be chopped. So it takes a little bit of tweaking to make that work for mangrove as well. But for this one, I want to do just kind of general purpose. It'll work for birch, oak, archwood, a couple other things. For right now, let's start with archwood. So what I want to do is, the way archwood grows is you have 1 sapling, right? And it will grow into a 2x2. And if I recall, it's going to grow that direction. So it'll be these 4 blocks here. Let's go ahead and find that out. Cool, I was wrong. It's actually these 4 blocks. Cool, good to know. It's going to be growing to the southeast. Yay! Let's drop it down because I don't care about you. There. Cool, so we placed it right here. It grew that way. Just to double check my sanity here, I'm going to do that again. Yes, grew that direction. It'll always grow the same direction, by the way. I just wanted to make sure that I actually saw it correctly. Chop you down. Cool. Good to know. It's going to grow that direction, and as you can see, it scatters the parts all around, and it's kind of messy. So what are we going to do about that? Well, we need to be able to pick things up properly. So let's go ahead and clear that out. Don't need you anymore. I think I need just about everything else here, though. So we're going to start off with 2 turrets. 1 there, and 1 there. I'm using enchanted turrets. The only difference between enchanted and regular is that these are going to be cheaper. The spell cost is cut in half. It's 50%. Basically, it's just going to make the whole setup here cheaper. But otherwise, you can just use regular turrets if you only have them. These need like blaze rods and stuff like that, which I have a fair number of at this point, so I'm not too concerned on cost. Next up, we need a block. And we should not use wood for that, because that might be a problem. Let's go ahead and use some cobbled deep slate. We can swap this out later once we have things kind of established. But that's basically it. Next up, a couple observers. If I place 2 observers watching each other, you notice it blinks. What it's doing there is it is powering this turret over and over and over. Even more interesting is if I take a sticky piston and plop it right there. Let's grab a lever. The one thing I forgot. If I pop it out of place, and pop it back in place, you'll notice it's now blinking twice as fast. That's going to be useful and make this whole thing more expensive, obviously because it's going to be casting a lot more, but it'll also double our output. For now, let's turn that off because I don't really want a thing blinking constantly. Now we just need 2 different spells here. So let's go ahead and make those. our first spell here, I'm just calling it place and grow because I am creative. It's going to be touch. With a spell turret on touch, it will always target the block right in front of it. It doesn't like reach out and try to reach several blocks forward like you do as a player. It's always going to be the block right in front of it, even though it's facing sideways. Very useful. For this one, we need touch and we need place block, which is in alphabetical order. Place block, cool. We're going to add, I think 3 grow is probably going to be enough. 4 would be better. Well, let's do 4. Why not? Touch, place block, grow. Cool. And we're going to put you on this one, place and grow, and we're going to plop a chest next to it. Or behind it, doesn't really matter, just touching aside. And let's throw a few of those in. Cool. For right now, let's grab ourselves a couple buttons. Cool, I have a couple right here, perfect. So just for a sanity check here, if I place you on here, nothing happens because we don't have any source. I only have 8 source in this jar, which is probably not enough. Cool, it is. Yay, we have a tree. It's a lovely tree. Now we can get rid of it. Go away. Cool. Next up, we need what we just did, which is chopping it down. Now, this spell I'm using is simply Ray and Fell. Ray is just used here because it has longer reach than touch, but for our spell turret here, we're going to go with touch, and Fell. Now you'll notice when I cast it on an archwood there, it's not big enough. We need more AoE on this. And I'll be honest, I don't know how much AoE we need, and I kind of don't care too much. That took 2% for that one, so let's go ahead. Let's see if that works. So that is touch, Fell, AoE 4. We are going to need more source. I grabbed myself a volcanic source link here. Let me just plop that down real quick so we can have some power going in. A couple source jars, pedestal, hopper. Quick setup here just to get some power flowing. I'm going to plop these underneath here. There and there. And we're going to place 4 hoppers. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And on top of this, we're going to place a double chest. Cool. What that'll do is I can just throw things in here and it will divide it between all 4 of them. Eventually, once it's backlogged enough. Anyway, for right now, it's just working. This should start filling up. 16, good. So now we have some power going here. If I press this button, ideally what will happen is it will, in one tick, place and grow the tree, and then chop the whole thing down. So let's see if that works. Almost. So it looks like we do need 1 more grow on there, but that's fine. Oh, not enough. Okay. So ideally this would happen, there we go, so that one worked on 1 tick. So with grow, it's going to be kind of hit or miss whether or not 4 is enough. I can add more, it'll be more expensive if I do that, but in theory it'll grow every time, so it doesn't really matter. But it still works, so if I press that, it basically just instantly, tree is gone. And it looks like it's getting just about everything. So there's some leaves left over, but quite honestly, I'm not too worried about the leaves, because they'll just despawn quickly anyway. We do have fast leaf decay. Now you'll notice the next problem, which is the mass on the ground. So in order to pick this up, we could add pickup to one of our turrets here. The problem with that is I don't necessarily want everything to go in here. I want this chest to just be archwood saplings. Over here, if I put a chest here, I'll have to sort things out. So we need to figure out what we're going to do with that for our chest and for having to pick things up. Another thing is if I put a pickup on the Fell spell here, it doesn't actually pick up everything. Basically what it'll do is it'll have a pickup spell right here, and a pickup on its own is just going to be basically the 3x3 around it, and that's about it. So not going to really work for our purposes for today. What we can do though is we can set up a rune. And of course all of our archwood logs can go in here to give ourselves more power. One spell I've had in my book pretty much the whole season, and honestly I normally don't have this in my book, but just this season I've left it here and it's been working out pretty useful for me so far. This is Underfoot pickup with a whole bunch of AoE. Now what that does is basically when I was going through here clearing out these trees, hello zombie over there, when I was clearing out all these trees, it left a bunch of saplings, a bunch of logs everywhere. And it's just kind of a mess. So by simply right clicking, it basically picks up about a chunk worth of items around me. It's really useful for cleaning things up. So what we can do is we can actually just adapt this. So we're going to shift it over by 1. We need touch. We need rune. There we go. And then we need item pickup. Cool. and we can go ahead and add another AoE on there. At least at the moment, runes only cost 1% of a jar, so it doesn't really matter how expensive you make this, it's going to be super cheap anyway. If I place that right here, and apparently currently it's grass colored, any items that are scattered all around here, for a fairly large range, let's throw some more right there, just kind of get it even. If I toss an item on here, or even if I were to step on it, it picks up all of them. Now it also, of course, broke the chalk, but we'll get to that later. A fairly large range, it got all the way to over here, left this one. That's fine, that's going to be definitely enough for our tree setup. So, how do we want to actually do this? We have a chest here that we want saplings. We would like to split off the logs and the regular drops, because there's those twigs from the aptly named Twigs mod, as well as like with oak, that'll give us apples and everything else. I think what we'll do is we'll get just about everything to go into just its own chest, and then we'll have everything go into one chest, sorry, and then everything else, the saplings will go in here, everything else goes over here. So if we place this, the tree's going to grow in these four. So what we can do is, I almost want to move this over one. If we do like that, and we place our rune right here, right there, let's change your color. You can be red, why not? Perfect. And let's go grab some chalk, which apparently I don't have in there. I have it in my backpack. Right here. Place it on there. It's now a permanent rune, which we'll just draw from our source jar nearby. At this point, everything's going to go into both of these chests, and that's not what I want. So let's go ahead and grab some item frames, if I can spell it correctly. And honestly, I just need the one in here. We'll place that on this chest. And at least in theory, this is supposed to obey item frames. So if I place a bunch of random items all around here, and a bunch of this cobbled deep slate too, and now if I were to go over here and trigger that, it should put all the saplings in here, and then the deep slate over here. Perfect. And now is the part in the build where we get to see if everything works or if I made a horrible mistake. So we've got our super fast observer here, because it's going to be double time because it's pistoned into place. We have powers over here. We've at least got, well, we have a full jar at least. That'll keep kind of working through itself. Over here we have our sapling, and we have 9 saplings in here. So in theory, if I were to flip this, we should start getting trees. Basically, as the items fall down, at some point one item is going to land on top of the rune there. It doesn't really matter how often that happens. Yeah, that's the problem there. Basically, it's going to keep growing this over and over and over, in this case until you run out of power. Let's go ahead and turn this off. But once you can recharge a little bit, throw an item on there, throw an item, there we go. Items there, that now has all of our saplings here, lots of wood over here. That's one source jar that we've gotten this from, because we just went through the whole thing. And basically filled up a double chest from one jar. So not too bad for this. Next up, of course, we can then easily take all of these, shift them over here. This will start distributing. Once these are filled up, the bottom hoppers, then it'll start going 4 times as fast instead of only double. Basically, we have a working tree farm at this point. The only thing is it's somewhat semi-automatic because it's just waiting on power. What we can do, though, is give it a bigger buffer. There, now it's a bigger buffer. And of course, I mentioned this whole thing is to get me spruce, not archwood. The archwood is just so I had fuel for the volcanic over there. If we throw our spruce saplings in here, there's only going to be a 1x1 spruce. It's not going to be the giant ones, but I think it will work just as well. We've got a little bit of a backup over here now, a jar and a half or so we can go ahead and start you. And figure out why it's not working. Right. Cool thing about item frames, they also tell the turret what to do. And in this case, we are telling the turret to only place archwood saplings. And there are no archwood saplings, so it doesn't do anything. Interestingly, that just occurred to me, what I could do is I could actually still have all the archwood in here. And some spruce. Place our spruce on the sign, and now it's a spruce farm. Cool, it works. I decided I am actually going to move the chest and the rune here. It should still be fine, because this doesn't really care if there's blocks right next to where the sapling's growing, as long as it's not too tall, or I think it's 3 tall is how tall it needs to be. So by placing it here instead, what that lets me do is it lets me move my pickup rune a little bit closer. So I'm going to move this right here instead. Basically it was right here, now it's over there, because I had a few items that were falling over here and not getting picked up. So this basically just moves it over a block or so. What we can do is place it like that so it's not too far into the actual growing area. And just for a sanity check here, let's put our item frame back on. And spruce in there and in here. And see if this works. There's still jars over there, so it should be still working. Perfect. We have a tree farm. Now, I do need to make it look pretty. And I should point out, a big thing with this tree farm design is I plan on running this myself. It's not going to be hooked up into our main base storage. I don't want it to be automatically monitoring anything. One is it requires server time to be monitoring my main storage. It also requires main storage to be loaded, which won't be when I'm not online. And basically over here, I can just swap things in and let it run. And I've got a decent sized buffer over here. And I think what I'll do is I'll just have a chest nearby with archwood saplings that I can run whenever I'm getting low over here, but I'm not too bad at this point. And it's just going to be a manual farm. One thing that is quite useful to do is get yourself a scribe table and some blank parchment and just write down the spells that you're going to be using for automation, stuff like this. It's a very simple one. This is just a place and grow. Place in 4 grows there. You can see the mana cost, that's kind of cool. But what this will allow us to do is it'll let us just kind of, if we come over here and for some reason this gets erased, whether it's a server thing that cleared all the turrets or something, or if we want to swap these out, you can just come back here, right click with it, and it'll set your spell. The thing with runes is you can also then end up getting an extra thing out of it, extra glyph. So with runes, if you use just touch, in this case touch pickup with that many AoEs on it, you don't need the rune glyph on here to apply to your rune. It just uses the touch glyph instead. So you can get an extra glyph on your runes like that, which is useful. The other thing is, as I'm watching this go with spruce, I'm kind of thinking I would like it to be double spruces, the 2x2s, because yeah, that got us a lot of spruce here, but did it get us enough? And we're growing things that fast, so let's see what we can do. If we take our place and grow spell here, and we modify place block, what we can do is we can do place block pierce, and let's just put that on here for a second. If we do that, I would like you to not fire. If I throw a lever next to you, then it'll always be powered, and therefore it won't recognize any power over here. It's already on. So if I do that, it'll place 2. Cool. And if I take this and add an AoE, what it'll try to do is it'll try to place 8 of them, but I don't have 8 valid places here. So hopefully it will offset it that direction. We will find out here. Did I actually do that? I didn't actually apply it. Try that again. Okay, so if I were to remove this turret, or this lever here, what would have happened is it would have placed a sapling there instead, because it expanded that way and that way. I want it to be that direction. So we're going to go ahead and add another AoE on here. There we go. And what that'll do is it'll try to do a 3x3, which we don't have. Perfect. There we go. Just double check here. Yes. So now if I turn you off, thank you. Right now, this is going to make a mess, first off. It's going to turn all this into podzol, but we'll see if it actually works. It's not working. Why is that not working? Also, what are you doing? Oh, right. Because there's no grow on this. That is why it's not working. Because this is simply place. It's not place and grow. So let's add grows on the second page. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if that works. It's a bit more expensive than it was, but we can still do that. And now let's see if that works. Nope, still not working. You are trying to grow. It has green sparkles there. Um. Well, science has been done, the wiki has been read, and disappointment is felt. Unfortunately, it looks like we simply can't do what we want to do, at least with the current setup of our farm there. As I understand it, reading the wiki, is this particular sapling needs to not have any block adjacent to it or in the 3x3 around it, which is basically exactly where our turrets are. So the turrets are counting as blocks in this case. I've even moved the rest of the structure down, and it still won't work. Yeah, so we've got this set up here. Basically everything else around there, it should be working. And I bet if I grow this one, yeah, it happily grows. But if I were to put a block there and there, it simply won't. Let's chop you down. That's array, and it can't reach that far. Whatever, I don't care. If we put these back down here, now this is not going to grow because there are blocks within its 3x3. So per the wiki, it needs to not have anything around it on that northwest corner, which unfortunately is the corner that is required with archwood. And I do want this to be able to work for archwood because quite honestly, that's what's powering, well, it's going to power this whole area on this side. So we can't do a 2x2, and that's fine. I would prefer it if it did, but we are able to run this with just regular spruce in just the 1x1 here. We did move the whole thing underground here, put the target blocks there. This, we can see the whole structure down below. That's the redstone. That's literally currently redstone. And we can let this thing run for as long as we need until we have what we need. And let's go ahead and get the rest of this grown. Oh, that works. Okay, so we've got that working. We have ourselves a spruce farm. It'll work for just about anything else as well, with the exception of, like I mentioned, dark oak and mangrove are going to be the main ones, and of course, disappointingly, the 2x2 spruces, which also means a 2x2 jungle as well, but I'm not using a whole lot of jungle, so I don't really care. Main thing is that I can get lots of archwood. We just get so much archwood. You almost get a stack per tree, and it goes through a tree several times a tick, or per second, I guess. So I am happy with this tree farm. I would have preferred if it could do the 2x2s just to get us the spruce a bit faster, but quite honestly, we've got a lot of spruce just from this. If I do, yeah, spruce is even showing up here. I have 2008, not too shabby for what we've got going on here. I'm quite happy with this. I still need to decorate this whole area, and I don't really know how I want to do that just yet. But for right now, I think we're going to call this for an episode. We have ourselves a tree farm, and we've got a bit of structure here to the rest of our base, so we can figure out exactly what we want to build and where we want to build it. Anyway, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.